And Mr. Russell is not here.
Russell is sick.
Oh, golly.
You're
I
stuck
think it's
with
going
me.
around. That's
So
okay.
both of them lit up?
Yes.
All right, welcome. The time is 6:44 on Monday, May 2nd. This is our select board meeting. We are getting started slightly late, but that is okay. We will open as per usual with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. With that, a roll call of board members. Myself, Dave Hemingway, the chair,
Marlo Herrick.
and Dee is not with us tonight. She is unfortunately not feeling well.
Oh, that's good.
For the announcements, I guess I will start with the announcement that obviously I still don't sound good. And just to help allay everybody's fears, that is a normal thing for me in some situations. But to make it easy for everybody, I did test negative, so we're all good there. The second announcement, I want to recognize Municipal Clerks Week. So especially if you're happening to go downstairs, say hi and thank you to our wonderful clerk here. And did you have any other announcements?
Nope. I'm here.
You had some
I
announcements?
just have a few things. One of them, is basically they're all offerings by NHMA. And I know one is a free full-day virtual workshop for local officials. It's really geared toward newly elected or appointed. However, everybody is welcome. And it's an opportunity. It's on Tuesday, May 17th. And it runs, well, I don't have the time, but if anyone would like to, let me know and I'll connect you up. There is another couple I thought interesting offerings they have. One is a webinar on investigations, and it will increase your investigative skills with labor and employment attorney and workplace investigator, who will examine when municipalities need to conduct an investigation. Fortunately, we haven't run into that here, but I did have an experience in my career that we had a situation that I wish I had known more at the time of how to better. So I thought I might attend that one. And finally, June 2nd, there's a half-day workshop, and I think Russell and I will both maybe try to do that, on effective code enforcement along with Tom. Again, the hardest thing that we do as a town is enforce our own codes. That's all I had.
All right. For the first item there, the newly elected officials one, I know I did that when I first came on board. It was really informative. I think you did
I
too.
think Marlo did as well.
And I actually went and did it again this year at the earlier version of it, because they do it twice. And not a whole lot had changed. The part that interested me a lot was the updates based on the bills and stuff that are passed at the state. But
You know what I think for me,
it's a
what
very good
works
thing.
is if you go to training and then you go and you're actually doing it. Sometimes when you go back to the training, you say, "Oh, that's what they were talking about."
That's right, yeah.
You know,
You mean where you
where
go, where you
you're
watch
brand
it before
new,
you've even
yeah.
done this? Yeah, yeah. I
So that's
agree
just
with you.
but anyway, it's a good opportunity.
All right. Since it is the first one, and I've normally been doing this at the first one, the town project status, I wanted to quickly go over. We purposely didn't do that last month to move things along. And I don't have the visual for you, but this will be on our website very shortly. Normally it would be there already. Clothespin Bridge, as you heard at our last meeting, is delayed but is progressing normally. Hopefully a 2023 construction start on that at this point. with our next steps awaiting final details from VHB so that the town can begin negotiations and then have a bidding process. The sand shed was looking at boundary research, but I believe we're now looking at the options of the alternative driveway placement. How has that been going?
It's going okay. I talked to Dana there the other day at a department head meeting, and he brought that up, the idea that you folks had about the driveway where the town owns the land now, maybe talking. So I have to get a hold of the state and have him come back out and go over that.
Okay.
And work. It's work in progress.
Yep.
And yeah.
Perfect. Town hall, always ongoing stuff. Happy to say that the refrigerator is finally installed. And we've also gotten some of the handicap sign stuff installed and an ADA checklist performed. There's obviously more to do along those lines, and we are still in progress with the security for the door and the fob quotes. White Plains Bridge is moving along basically almost as expected since we've switched engineers. So we're now awaiting basically a DES approval. Town property sales, some continue to go back on the tax list. That's ongoing. We'll have a little bit more on that tonight, I believe. Deer Meadow Solar, we're still waiting for further engineering, which is they're waiting for third parties to finish studies before they can provide that. The contracts and job descriptions, we have one more that should be done by the end of the month. Records retention, we have a completed policy, and the Records Retention Committee is continuing to meet. The next step will be them looking at the digital records platforms and investigating and recommending one of those, but that's a separate project. And for policy review, we've pretty much done all of them. So the majority are completed and reaffirmed or updated. There is, of course, personnel policy, which has its own committee. And we have a couple to review and that have been recently found by Dana. And some new policies left to look at, which will probably be in the realm of IT and security of that. And that will cover the town project statuses, which moves us on to appointments. So, come on down.
I think he's fine sitting right there.
It's not glowing, just flip the bottom of it. Turn on.
Good evening, everybody.
Welcome. So, for those that don't know you, go ahead and
My name is David Nesbitt. I live in 598 Tyler Road. I've been a resident here for the last 9 years, and I've been nominated by the Conservation Commission to become a commissioner.
all right.
I'm here for vetting and approving, hopefully.
So I'll just kind of give you the floor here with the same question that I like to ask almost anybody.
Sure.
What is your primary reason and hope to get done by volunteering to this group?
Okay. What I want to do is to, to make sure that the commission has sufficient members, because some of the long-term members are now stepping down as they're gracefully entering their golden years, I guess is one to place it. And so there were several openings. Two is that I have a long time interest in conservation going back to my high school years, but also it was part of my curriculum and when I was teaching in high school and part of the classes with the progressive era, the New Deal, and this 1960s. So it was part of the things that I was teaching. And the other part of my background is before teaching, I worked 20 years in the outdoor recreation industry, which involved trail construction, trail maintenance, and a lot of stuff at Waterville Valley, Loon, and the Ballston's Grand Resort Hotel. And when I was up there, I was the trail master there. So I was literally in charge of laying out trails and keeping them in condition. And we have a number of trails in the town forest and in the section down the road from our house that needs some upkeep, maintenance, and some relocations where the river's been gouging out, and that's right in my wheelhouse. So I'm very happy to be participating in that area.
Awesome.
That's great.
Do you have any other questions?
No, I mean, I think that that's, that's awesome, that, especially, it's important to, do what's right for the environment, but it's also awesome to keep people involved in the town and
Mhm.
utilize the land and keep the trails open and that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
So we've been out there, and certainly in the past, in trying to keep trails open
Yeah.
and making sure that people don't get lost out there. I mean,
Right.
I've been on some trails that it seems like it's a marker, like as far as we are apart from each other. I don't want to go quite that far. But I
Right.
do want people to be able to find their way around.
gotcha. Perfect. No, well, I would say, welcome.
Okay.
Anybody can get themselves into the woods, but
Getting themselves out.
Yeah.
they don't always get themselves out.
No, that is,
Well,
yeah,
it's easy to wander anywhere.
Yeah. I have had to help a little bit in that regard too, in
Yeah.
my career in finding lost people out there.
yeah. Great.
This will be, I believe David will be the 7th member. It's a 7-member committee, so there was one opening. And if you appoint him, there won't be any openings for regular members.
And they also have some alternates as well? Or,
No, I don't think so.
I don't believe so at the moment, no.
I think-
sorry, alternate positions, correct? But whether they're currently filled or not, there are alternate positions?
You know, I have to really look to check that out. I'm not exactly sure of that.
I think there are, because
I think there are
I
too,
remember
but-
getting a resignation of an alternate last year. But, and of course, anyone who's interested, Conservation Commission, they will be happy to hear from you.
But I'm
if you
sure
want
they'd
help.
be happy to have you participate.
All right. So the one thing that I feel that I have to say, though I'm sure you're completely familiar and already understand the whole concept, is obviously anything that is Conservation Commission based should happen in a Conservation Commission public meeting.
Oh, of course. Mhm.
And with that being said, I would move that we accept the application and, why can't I think of the word?
Point.
Well, no, and recommendation for the appointment of David Nesbitt.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much for coming back
Thank
down.
you.
or
I
coming
thank
down.
the board.
I think it's gonna saw you at the planning board, that's what I was thinking.
And
Yes.
they're gonna sign the appointment form,
Oh, yes.
and when you can, if you stop and see Michelle, you're ready to swear in.
Okay, sounds wonderful.
Swear at you, yeah.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
I believe she's still gonna be down there.
Oh, is she? Oh, I'll swing by.
Oh, well, then we'll give you this one to drink with you.
I'll be happy to be the delivery boy here.
Like I said, you can see that.
I always thought mine was bad.
You haven't seen mine.
No,
Thanks, everybody.
thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Have a good night.
Can I?
You can go right,
Yeah, you can
go down the stairs. I think the lights are on, but if not, please turn on the switch.
Okay.
It's not as safe.
Yeah.
We don't want get in trouble for that.
All right, moving right along, that brings us to department head reports.
I've still got a few more things in
Oh,
that category if I can
sorry.
talk to you about. One is Barbara Corliss gave her resignation.
Oh, yes.
From the refuse committee, so we do have some openings on that. Joseph Pulowski, who is a member of the Conservation Commission, you appointed him March 21st. I had the incorrect year of his term, and so I've done a corrected one. If you can sign that for me. Eventually, I'm going to
Kind of
get
a-
straight on those. And speaking of Mr. Pulowski, he has also expressed an interest, and you know him, you met me before, but in being appointed as an alternate on the planning board, there are no regular positions on the planning board, so this would have to be an alternate.
Okay, and have we heard from the planning board regarding
And
that?
they have encouraged him to be appointed.
Okay,
That's his.
so,
Confusing, sorry.
since he is not here at the moment, I will simply read basically the answer to the question that I normally read, which is why. And it says, as a member of the Conservation Commission, I want to fill the planning board seat that is available to them. That makes some sense to me, because of course you want to know what's going on and be involved in the discussion and be able to bring information between the two boards.
Yeah.
Normally, and we do have the recommendation from the planning board for this?
Yes.
Perfect. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's like hiring people.
Yeah, I wish I had him here to, say
Yeah,
hi again,
yeah.
but we did just have him here, so.
Yeah, so let's,
All right, I would move that we accept the application and recommendation from the planning board for Joe Pulowski.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right,
That's all I have now.
okay,
Ready to move
so
on.
that moves us on to department head reports.
Okay, let's do the road part first. We'll go back to Knights Meadowbrook on the White Plains Road. I met with Chad, a bit ago. Went over all of the stuff that they had together and it all looked great. He said it would take up to 90 days. They were gonna get it into the state, to DES,
Mhm.
and it would be up to 90 days. And he said, when I met with him, that they were already booked out into August for precast. So when we get that stuff all back from DES, he didn't know where it would be in 90 days. Well, I mean, where they would be with precast, how far out. So, I'm really not looking to see that done this summer. As much as I was hoping, but, 90 days at DES, and of course, a company that big is like anybody else. They got they started last year getting stuff lined up for the spring, like anybody else, any other good business person. So even in August, or if 90 days is up, and we order that box culvert,
How long does he say it's gonna take to make it?
well, he's not sure, August
well,
into
let's-
September.
let's-
I didn't ask him,
Okay,
I'll be
okay.
honest with you. I didn't say, if you started working on the box culvert today, would you have it done in 3 hours? Or is it
2 weeks or?
2
yeah,
weeks? And
yeah.
I didn't ask him,
Okay.
and I don't even have a guess. So, but if they're already booked out to August, and then you take 90 days, and then they could be booked out to September or into October, and when in the fall rains isn't no time to be doing that project.
Yeah, we
No.
kind of want it done before the major rains start.
Right.
Midsummer, correct.
Well, hopefully midsummer's dry.
Right, well,
But yeah, I know
I'm
what you
just
mean.
passing on what
Mm-hmm.
what I've seen and where I'm at. I did tell people that it was going to be done this summer, but I'm going to have to eat what I said.
Question, with this box culvert, it is part of the reason that they couldn't put it tentatively in their schedule is because it could be something that's more out of the ordinary than what they're doing.
Right, they have a plan on what size box they
Yeah.
need from all the water calculations in
Yeah.
the floodplains, but he said that DES, when it gets down there, they might look at it different, and they might want it 4 feet wider and 2 feet higher, or they might want to narrow it up 2 feet, and if, like he said, if we order it now, we've bought it, and we might not be able to use it
Right.
if it's not just what they say. He said 9 times out of 10, it's just what they, but he said there's always that one chance.
Is there any way for us to contact DES once the plans are in and ask them, you know, kind of have a conversation with them, hey, because we were almost to this point already. I don't,
There is an expedited review process.
right.
Right, it may be, but I don't know, I mean, you would have to talk to Chad, because I'd wanna go through them, not around them.
That's right, that's right.
Because we're working so good together.
Right.
Um,
Well, I just wasn't trying to make it harder on them to have to be the one that, you know, I guess what I was like, and that would be a question for Chad, how would you like it handled, is a good point.
Yeah.
Because I might say to the DES, hey, listen, because this isn't the first time we've been to this plate of this rodeo, in a sense. Granted, we're in,
meetings with DES.
that's right, we're, if, like we're saying, we're all seem to be in good, we're in a good place, but
Yeah.
hey, listen, we've already waited. And is there any way that, you know, you can expedite this?
yeah,
Um,
and maybe they would,
And then-
maybe they can, and then, could go over there and beg and plead and get
And
the
DES knows we're doing the right thing.
Well,
You know,
true,
they-
and sometimes, especially where they've been to the site, correct?
Yes.
Mhm.
I don't, how many times have they been there? Is it-
DES?
Is it just once?
I know it's at least once, but
Okay.
I have a feeling it's more
Been
than
to- Yeah,
once.
so yeah, we may be able to, yeah, so does somebody wanna kind of, I don't know, do you?
I'll
do it or-
speak with
Chad,
Chad,
yeah.
because I had a question for him, so I have a call into him, as a matter of
Okay.
fact. So I'll ask him when I talk to him.
Especially if, you know, like, yes, we don't wanna go around it, but as a town, sometimes seeing, he's new to the project and we're not.
Yeah.
Cause it is our project in a sense.
yeah.
That maybe that would create
Yeah,
it.
sometimes it's easier for us to go to a
Right.
state agency.
Right.
Right, but let him know what we're doing.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Well, and he would guide you
Yeah,
when we call anyways to say, hey, here's what I'm
right,
doing.
make sure that before we call them to say, hey, let's hurry up on this, make sure that they've got the paperwork from them, not.
Oh,
I mean,
God, yeah,
just
yeah,
to-
yeah, for
I've
sure.
had 2 meetings with DES, one with Chad and one with another engineer.
Yeah,
And I thought the last meeting went very well,
yeah.
and so I will talk to Chad about that and see what we can do.
And there again, they could be really busy, but they also, being familiar with it always
Right, because
speeds
see,
things
once,
up.
once that box culvert's and once that's ordered, I still gotta reach out. I've got a couple of people that I've talked to about, I mean, that's quite a project, dewatering. That's
That's right.
100 feet, that's 100 feet of dewatering, and that all has to be done, whatever. So I've reached out to a couple of companies that do that dewatering.
Oh, okay, so you weren't gonna do that yourself?
No,
Oh,
not the
okay,
dewatering part.
okay.
I'll work with the people that are gonna be doing that on hauling dirt in and out and stuff and, in doing some excavating work, but when it comes to the dewatering, because on the lower side has to be dewatered
That's
as
right,
well,
yeah.
because the water can't escape, so that all has to be pumped too. And I'm not saying I couldn't do it, but by the time you went and rented pumps, because I don't do it every day, so you don't have
That's right.
that kind of work,
Mhm.
that kind of equipment to work with. So you get somebody that does, and does it, and works with DES a lot more than
That's right.
some other people.
I guess I didn't know there was people that just did dewatering.
Well,
Yeah.
it's part of the process,
Yeah.
but you can, yeah. That's the biggest part of the project. I mean, it's not like it's a 6-foot bed stream there. I mean, it comes down and it bows out and it's.
Oh, no, the dewatering is going to be
Yeah, it is.
not putting the box culvert in place, it's
No,
gonna be dewatering,
yeah,
yeah.
that's whatever's, and I
And-
just wanna do it professionally and right to legally and the whole 9 yards and,
When if you reach out to them tentatively, I suppose they could be the ones to hold the whole thing if So maybe you wanna do that, then we'll call DES
No, no, we have to,
no?
before I can line all this stuff up, I mean, I can get people to do it,
Okay.
but it's just like, if
Need
I
an
wanted
approved
you to
plan.
come do a logging
Yeah.
job for me tomorrow.
No, don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I was talking time frame. I didn't know if these people would be like, oh, no, I'm booked all summer long.
Well,
That's all I was saying. No, I
Yeah,
understand that
yeah.
part, Emmett, very well.
Well, one of the people that I've talked to said that would be great, because I am busy, but you can do a lot of it, and I can do this,
Yep.
and you can do that, and we can make it happen.
Okay.
Um,
I just didn't want to jump the gun, rush DES, and then come to find out you can't get
Yeah.
anybody to help you dewater.
Well,
and
we'll
then,
figure it out somehow. I mean, it's step by step, and there's always
There
there's
are a lot of
always,
pieces to put
there's always
together,
Yes.
a cog in the,
and, but yet they have to go in a certain order.
yeah.
Absolutely.
yeah, so,
I do realize
so I guess that's water under the bridge.
that. Or through the culvert, maybe.
So anyways, the last couple of weeks we've gone around, Larry and Russell's gone around and done a real nice job getting a lot of the pipes in town cleaned out on either end and in through the middle. We had quite a leaf crop last fall, so that was that. So there's a lot of failed culverts in town. There's still a lot of metal culverts that are under the roads. And they did start an inventory on what needs to be done and what roads need to be done, and because the pipes that are under the ground are good for like 20 years, and the bottoms are all rotted out. I've got a lot changed in town, but not them all, so we're doing an inventory on what pipes need to be changed. Larry started grading last Friday, he graded today, so we'll see what the rain brings the next couple of days, and then we'll get around and get some more grading done. We did go down on the Dustin Road property this morning with the excavator and did some test pits and some cleaning up around there. We put a new pipe in underneath the driveway that we dug out when it was all rotted when we tore the building down, so we can get in off the road because it's hazard there. The cars. Cleaned that up some. We're gonna go down tomorrow and finish that up. But I came up with just that between the road and the power lines, that strip that's 350, 400 feet long in back to the power lines, there's probably enough sand there to go like 4 years. So we use up to 3,000 yards a year, so I calculated, and this is me, this isn't somebody from whatever, that does it for a living every day, calculating dirt that you can't see, but I came up with 17,000 yards, so if I said there was 15,000 yards there, it's going to be worthwhile to get that cleaned off, the trees gone, and get it stumped. So the last time I talked to you folks, I told you guys, I know it was you and Dee, I don't know if were you here then? I said that I was going to cut the trees and clear that off, but I think right at the moment with everything that's going on, the best way to do that is have somebody come in with a whole tree chipper and clean it up. It would go a lot faster, and it would be a lot less labor, and where you have the power lines and all that. It's not a huge job. It's going to take somebody longer to get the equipment there to do that. So what I need to figure out is get a hold of a few whatevers and see if it's gonna be worth doing for the wood, or if it's gonna cost us something to have it done, or whatever. There's 38 acres there, and I had a good friend of mine, Harry Stevens, was a licensed forester and a surveyor for years. You must know Harry.
Yep.
He flagged that out for me back when we first started talking about this 3 or 4 years ago. So Harry came down today and we flagged it all back out again. Walked around that. Way in the back, it's just way too steep, too much ledge. It's just, we're not gonna get into it blasting and drilling and all that. And came back around. So Harry gave me a ballpark figure, what was on there for standing timber of value. So, what I would like to do is while we were there,
That would be for beyond the power lines, correct?
oh, on the other side of the power lines, yeah, it goes up on that side hill, and I could show you a map of it on the phone. Is underneath the power lines out to the right, where that goes around. It looks like there's be some good gravel there, or sand or something, but to charge the town to go out there to cut a road to get out there with the excavator, I just don't feel that that's the right thing to do. If somebody's gonna come in and strip where we're gonna get the sand now, they could go up there with a shear while they were right there and make a road right up through there, 20 feet wide, and come back out and then go up in there and see what we have. And if there's something up there, it's good. And if there's nothing, we really haven't wasted a whole lot.
Not having explored the back of that, is it in the correct kind of growth amount to be worth doing selective timbering to at this point for the whole property?
Yeah, you could. The pine that's there is probably pretty much gone by because it's pretty ledgy. And up on the back, Harry thought there'd probably be a lot of red rot. It's not quality pine. There is some nice oak, but it's short because of the ledge and the way the wind blows through there. There's a raft of cordwood. You could go in there and selectively cut it without,
Because that might make it more worthwhile to have all that done by somebody.
yeah, no, that's something we can talk about, but what I'd like to do now is get working on what I know is there,
Mm-hmm.
because it's either that or I need to go buy 3,000 yards of sand from somewhere, and last year we paid $370 a yard. I don't know what it's gonna be this year, and then we have to screen it ourselves, but the way I see it is, if you get it logged off and you go down there and spend 10 grand on getting the stumps off and hauling them off or piling them up and have them ground and stripping the loam off the top and the leaves, that's what you're gonna pay for sand for the first year, and then 3 years after that, you don't have to come up with a 10 grand a year, but that's 10, 20, 30 grand that you're gonna save. I mean, that's what I'm seeing, but could get up in there and there's well, I don't believe there is, but you just don't, you can't see, you don't know.
Right.
What is the, well, in the sense of when you buy it somewhere, the stripping and all that's been
Yeah,
done?
yeah.
You know, and the difference here would be, there would be cost to stripping it and stumping it
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So in your math, you have that kind of included into what you think that we would
Right,
gain.
so that's what I'm saying. So if you have 4 years of sand,
Yep,
and right now at $470 a yard, 3,000 yards is roughly around 10 grand. I mean,
Yeah.
I can do the math, but so if you have 4 years, that's 40 grand you're gonna pay to
yep,
a landowner, and then you're still gonna have to screen it out
yep.
and do that. So my calculations, and I can't imagine it's gonna be 10 grand, I'm just throwing that number out there to go down there and stump that, rake it all off, but it's gonna take a couple of weeks,
Yep.
and get that all ready. And it's really not a big area. It's 400 feet long, 100 feet wide, and the dirt's 12, 14 feet deep. It's
And you
just,
save on trucking, because you
It's-
wouldn't have to truck it to screen it,
yeah,
right?
you could screen it right there.
There, right.
And a lot of that, well, you're gonna have to run it through a screener because but it's not big rock, it's gonna work fast, but the material's right there, and when you screen it, you can leave it there because it's your land, and if you need it in the middle of the winter, it's there, and it's just, I think it's a win-win situation, but, I mean, I'm telling the story.
Well, it sounds like it the way you
Yeah,
say it, so.
Okay,
What,
so-
what if anything do we need to
gonna
do
say.
to allow him to continue down this road? Or is it just that we tell him we think it's a good idea?
I think if you support the idea, you would tell him to.
Right, I'll go
forward.
figure
Yeah.
out what I can do with getting the trees cut. You know, if somebody will do it for the wood, or if somebody needs the wood in 10 grand, or, geez, I'm all, which just isn't gonna happen, because I've been in the logging business since I've been in diapers. You know, but I just need to get a hold of some people and have them whatever's, but and then I'll know more, but the sooner I get going there and make this all happen, the better off, because winter's gonna be here in the blink of an eye.
It will be, you're right.
So I would encourage you to to go down this path and, you know, have the conversations and choose the most appropriate method, whether
So
that's
if I don't
larger
have to
logging or not.
if I don't have to spend any money on getting the wood cut, you guys are fine with that?
Well, so that's my opinion.
Right,
but,
if I
you know,
have to, if
I'm
I
not the
have
board,
to,
so-
if I have to pay somebody 5 grand in the wood, then I need to come back and talk to you folks. I'm just using that 5 grand for an example.
I
Are you
personally
gonna
don't
give me
think
the
that-
authorization to take care of it without getting stupid?
So there's two things that could happen. It may be that you don't have to come up with the upfront cash.
Yeah,
And what you're saying is the value of the wood would offset the cost of the
the
job.
cost of the whatevers. But that's not cutting up, that's just cutting what we need
Yeah.
for dirt, nothing to do with the wood that's up back,
Okay.
other than that trail that we're gonna use.
So
to-
what you're saying, in the event that does not happen and you need there's some expense involved with that.
If there is some expense, I'll have to come back, I'll come back and talk with the board, because it's only right.
I think it would be good to know, and the board might think of what kind of dollars they are willing to
Yeah.
go forward with.
And, I mean, I
And I
think
don't know
what,
if I have really good advice.
Well,
on
I
how
don't
to
know if they,
proceed
I
with
mean,
that.
it's coming out of one of my budgets, so when I have control of my budget,
Absolutely.
and they just, and I have to account for it at the end of the day,
Yes,
so,
I know what you're saying.
but
yeah.
I just don't wanna keep anybody in the dark, and I don't want no one to say that
You don't want a
you
surprise bill.
weren't up
Yeah.
front,
Right.
and we didn't know what was going on, or, that's all, so.
well, and if it sweetens it so that you don't have to pay anything, I think what you're saying is you wouldn't be against, furthering, because you're gonna get a couple different numbers, so
Yeah.
it's not furthering the cut. If that helps it,
Well,
yeah.
The
right?
other thing I was thinking is, you know, since it's 38 acres, if it's actually worth doing selective cutting, we might actually be able to have timber revenue for the town
If
and
if-
get it done at the same time.
Right, well,
So-
like he says, and, yeah, it all depending on what's on there and what
Yeah.
there is for value and
Right.
how much there is of biomass compared to
Mhm.
two, because that's a cost, as he knows.
If there was an expense, Emmett, what would you charge in your budget? Would you charge your gravel line?
I don't have a gravel line in my budget other than in road preservation or road construction, and that's what,
How about
and
the
this is
block
gonna
grant?
be,
Do you
with
have
block
something?
grant I
Yeah.
do, that's
Yeah.
winter,
Right,
that's winter sand,
I mean, I'm just thinking.
that's winter sand.
Oh, sand, okay.
Well, there is gravel, I mean, there is winter sand and gravel in the block grant budget. So, let me do some more homework and figure out what's going on. And if it's gonna be an expense to the town, I'll let you know. And if it isn't, then, I'll make sure everything's on the up and up, and, but the-
Here's my thinking, and tell me whether you like the thought or have reservations, or you have more familiarity with it, so I don't know whether this is appropriate to say or not. My feeling is that as long as it's underneath the 10 grand that we would normally have to go out for more bids and quotes, that he just do what's going to be the most appropriate, so nothing slows him up and we don't have to worry about it. He can just report back to us what happened.
I mean, I'm fine with that. I mean, that's,
Yeah, no, I just wanna, that's why I'm here tonight, to talk with you folks and tell you what I've come up with and what I found. And, Russell's done all the work with DES on all the
Mhm.
permits that he needed, and, the conservation stuff, he's talked to them about all that, correct?
Yes, yeah.
Because I wanted to go about it right.
Mhm.
And, there's gonna be people that smile because you're saving money, and there's always gonna be that one or two that, oh my golly gee, and then,
Mhm.
but.
So which way do you think we should go?
I'm fine with that. The way I look at it is there's a certain amount of, there's already that, well, it's in your budget that's gonna come out of it, and, I mean, it is the town's money, but because of however you wanna put it, it's kind of one of those pass, but we're gonna entrust you to do what you need to do. That's why you do what you do.
I
Thank
guess
you.
the point I was trying to
Mhm.
make is
Right? Did I say that right?
when
I
you
mean-
go to purchase
Yeah.
something like gravel or sand, you're not going for every
Yeah,
load or.
Right, it's
Yeah.
like when I go down to Colebrook Gravel and haul out $30,000 worth of gravel to a project, it's no problem, we're doing something different,
Yeah.
Right.
and I just
Oh, I
want to
think,
yeah,
be.
so-
yeah.
So I would say thank you for letting us know,
absolutely.
and my thinking, and it sounds like the board's thinking at this point is, don't worry about telling us, you know, don't worry about coming back for more approval.
And
Just
if
tell us
somebody
how it's
wants to,
going.
I'm gonna be down there tomorrow, if somebody wants to swing by so I can show them where we're gonna be doing whatevers, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, when we're done, we're gonna have to clean it up, you know, put it back, slope it off, and do the whole
Mhm.
thing the way, so
Reclaim it,
it
yeah.
looks good, and the neighbors are happy, and everything, but, yeah.
Awesome.
Okay, so,
Any other road stuff?
no, other than we'll get down, which I talked a couple of meetings ago about cutting them trees on Corn Hill Road. I haven't done that yet. I was
Mhm.
gonna, but now the posted signs are down. We'll get that done in the next couple of weeks, because I know that you folks wanna get that behind you,
Mm-hmm.
so you can do something with the property. Yeah, so I'm good with the highway stuff, if you are. Now we'll go on to the safety building project. I showed you the quote from GMI there the last meeting. Because I passed it down through, and then Dana, so I, went down, did the calculations on the driveway. It's 95 by 75 feet. So if you calculated that all into building a road, that would be building 400 feet of road. And I just have this scratched out. Taking the concrete out and removing the unstable ground that's there. And hauling the new gravel back in, which I've got calculated here, 791 yards. If that goes out, that has to come back in. So that's roughly 65 loads at 12 yards a load. So if that goes out, it has to come back in, so the prices that, and I did this at Colebrook Gravel, the prices to put that back in, because by the time we get stuff opened up and crushed and all that, the summer's gonna be gone. And the fabric and the pipe and all that, so that project, just the dirt work alone without the tar, is gonna be around $35,000.
That's to, how deep are you going? A foot?
No, I went 3 feet deep. We'll probably end up going 4, but there should be a good foot of gravel that's underneath the tar now that I'm gonna try to utilize. I mean, I don't know. That's a shot in the dark. I won't know until we get there. But, I mean, the gravel alone, just to put back in there from Colebrook Gravel delivered, is $19,030. That eats up a lot of that 35 grand.
Sure does.
And then, I do have figured in there for a hammer to break that concrete, because that stuff's a foot, 16 inches thick, and if you can't, so that's figured in too. Maybe we won't need that, but if we do, it's, so, that's where I'm at.
Is that the same kind of rented hammer that you were using to break up the larger boulders, or are you
Yes,
talking
I
something
won't,
different?
I won't
Okay.
rent that huge one that we use for the boulders. I'll get a smaller one there because it will be more gentle on the tar that's already there. And I'm gonna have to build a road on the outside of that tar to get the stuff in so we don't break up what's already there when you're coming in and out. So, that's where I'm at with the ballpark figure is 35. It's 400 feet of 400 feet of road.
If you're having to construct something next to it anyway, would it make any sense to do that secondary construction area?
It's on the other side.
Yeah, it's on the opposite side.
If we go that route,
Yeah, so that wouldn't actually help that.
no.
Okay.
In what I'll build that, how I'll have that anyways to get in and out is I'm hoping there's gonna be some gravel underneath that cement and the tar that's already there. To just, all we're gonna do is fill that ditch in for right now and then dig it back out when we're done on our way out to put that in. We'll just take it won't be a long time, it'll just be at the end where you're coming up out of there with the excavator and stuff. It's not gonna be no fancy road. It's just gonna,
I'm just trying to brainstorm here. If we're going to be going up the other side anyway for
That's what I
the
was
sand
thinking.
shed access road, is the material in the current access road something that would be usable towards that in any way, shape, or form? Or does that need to stay there?
you mean right there where I cleaned out last year?
Yeah, because it's already next to what.
Yeah,
you-
no, that needs to stay there too. If we
Okay.
disturb that, the water is gonna erode and make a mess there. And,
Mhm.
right now, it's all staying good and the water's tipped just right.
Okay, good,
And,
good.
we might get into that bank and it might just turn right to all clay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. I wouldn't recommend to,
Oh, that's fine.
do anything there
I
other
just thought it
than-
was worth asking.
Yeah, I think we would loosen it up too much and make it unstable, and then we'd always have a problem with water coming off the hill. And then, but all the rain that we had last summer, it didn't move a bit, and,
Would there be any potential savings in the blacktopping and/or other charges if we were actually building said road access path at the same time? So we could, have the tar both of them at the same time, bring gravel for both of them at the same time, et cetera. 'Cause I know that
I'd
had
have to
originally
find
been
out
talked
about the tarring, if we did the dirt work and stuff all at the same time. I don't know if, other than the equipment already being there, but that's another case on that lower side is when we go up through there, I'm gonna have somebody come in and cut that as well and do it the way it should be.
Mm-hmm.
And I've walked up there, I don't know how many times after Russell said that he thought that was a good idea, or not. It's gradual, it's not like on the other side, and
Mm-hmm.
Else you don't have the boundary issue.
right,
You just need to check with the state to see if we
right,
can. Which that would create that 2 entrance thing, which you'd like anyways.
right.
Well, technically, we could do it just without the extra driveway, right?
Well, you could do the
Not that
job
we
itself.
want to do it that way,
Right.
but we could run it off of the.
Yes, yeah, we
side
got
of
the,
the
well, we
safety
got a
building.
telephone pole there and propane tanks, but yes, we could do it. You can do anything. You put your mind to it, you can do anything.
Cost
But yeah,
effective.
we've got that garage there that we can take the driveway from the state.
That's right, so we may be already.
So hopefully we can remove that.
Well, it kind of
and-
makes sense to have, in a safety building.
Now, where that garage is, that doesn't come back and meet our land, right? Somebody owns
No, it's
all
a
the
tiny
way
little square.
around that.
Yeah.
Well, we can,
We couldn't trade.
We can verify
couldn't-
that, but
we
I believe it
couldn't,
goes all the way around. And the original owner wants that piece, that small chunk back.
So, oh, the man across the street.
No, so that little garage is currently
Yeah,
with the house that's across
Correct.
the street. But that little garage has the driveway apron,
yeah,
and the original owners were the people that own the land on that side of the street next to it.
so what I
And they
was,
want to bring it back into their land.
so what I was wondering is, why can't we, they abut to us, okay? So, say there's 100 feet of road frontage, how much road frontage is in front of that garage?
Oh, I would say,
30 feet, 40 feet?
I,
Oh,
yeah,
it's
it's
gotta
gotta
be
more than
that.
50,
So anyways, we'll take that 40 feet,
yeah.
this is just me. Give that back to the folks, and then just take 50 feet, take the same amounts of land over by just move that piece up to about our piece, put that back in with ours, and give that to theirs, and you move this driveway up there, the state can't say no. Because it's a whole different piece of property that you're going through, other than the McGowan, the,
This would be a good time for that negotiation, I think, with that landowner.
Mhm.
so he gets the middle back
Right,
and loses just this little bit
on the end,
on the end.
yeah.
Run it by him. Oh, I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
should be talking to the board.
Yeah.
well,
Well,
that's fine. Yeah,
by
run it by
rights.
'em.
by
How
rights.
was that?
It's up, I did wrong, I'm sorry.
I mean, we would
I
have,
talked to you, so,
it would be 2 lot line adjustments, I think. Well, I guess it depends on whether it needs to be a separate property still or not,
I would say no.
but, because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but the way the state does it is not based on property parcels, they do it based on, site distance and how many driveways are on that side of the road already, correct?
Not that many driveway, not, the driveway's on that side of the road. The way the state did it when the gentleman came out was,
It's within a period of distance, right?
back through the last, I don't know what, 50 years, the driveways, and then they only allow so many driveways off in that partial, so if it was subdivided up into a bunch of chunks, they wouldn't end up with 13 driveways when they only needed 3. That's how I took it. Because if we do away with one of the gentleman's driveways down the street, if he would let us,
Well, currently, we own that driveway because it's our garage.
yeah, down this side, yeah, yeah.
And so that's basically next to where we were gonna be putting the access way. right?
Correct.
So
But it had
couldn't-
nothing to do with the driveways.
So couldn't
on
we,
this-
as the town, already just remove that driveway and get the permit from the state for where we want it?
I'd have to, before I told you yes, I'd want to talk to him.
Okay. But I would encourage you and Dana to have that conversation with the guy at the state, and
Okay.
if he says yes, then we should move up. Start
And then if he
reaching the
says no,
negotiations.
then we,
Right. Ask how we need to do it to make
Yeah.
it happen.
okay, all right, so is that something you guys we're gonna do? That
Oh, we're back to, yes, we're
Back-
back to.
back to the safety building parking lot
Oh.
out front, because it needs to really be done, and,
Emmett, is that project, am I correct in thinking it's $60,000?
well, not quite,
But in that
Yeah,
ballpark?
because you're
yeah,
10.
yeah, so,
Yeah, you're around 60.
yeah,
Roughly from what he said for the figures.
Right. I mean, I know
Because
it's
it's
not
tar
exact.
plus that, yeah.
Yeah, 25 plus 35.
was that
25 for the,
Somewhere
in
around.
25, so
Yeah.
it's gonna be, yeah, right on the money.
Okay.
That's what I threw at you at one of the meetings a couple of
You had
months
said
ago,
that,
right out of
that's
my
why,
head, right?
yeah, you-
that a
you
boy.
had said
Doesn't that feel good?
It does.
I
Yeah.
love when that
It
happens.
was good when you agreed with yourself.
Yeah.
Well, oh, yes. Sometimes you do them 6 different ways.
Sometimes I have to ask a couple times where I get it.
Yeah.
All right.
So what do we, where does,
He
The
needs
money-
direction is what,
Well, we're
Well,
gonna
right,
take
I
the
mean-
money out, we were talking about taking the money out of your ARPA fund, right?
I was gonna talk to the board about that. Where do you want us to take the money? Of the ARPA fund? We really don't.
How do
Because
you
we don't
decide
have
that?
any other place to
No.
take it out of.
No.
and remind me again, remind everybody what the opera fund is.
ARPA.
It's
ARPA.
ARPA. It's
Oh, it's
American,
opera, okay.
American Rescue Plan Act,
Okay,
and it is the amount of money that was
from the,
from the government
right.
as a result of this COVID pandemic.
And how much money is in there right now?
We're going to be getting a total of $204,256.70,
Okay.
something like that.
So about
We
60.
have half of it so far, and we
Okay.
have spent some of it. We have $89,124 left
Okay.
in that account right now.
It seems,
Yeah,
On
this
the
seems
safety
like
side
it would
too,
make
you know.
sense as a single thing that would be
I
fairly
think that-
straightforward to report to them
I think
too.
this is a good opportunity. I mean, there's 100 uses you could use that money for, obviously.
And I know I've worked with Bill and Steve, and I brought this up the other day when we were at our department head meeting, and they both said it needs to be done.
It's a problem.
yeah, no, I mean, it's probably no better time than right now.
I think the town.
The money is there,
The
yeah.
ARPA money
That's
is
right,
there.
that's right. That's why I wanted to,
Yeah.
like, just clarify that yeah.
Yeah, my gut feeling for this is that obviously it needs to be done, it should be done, and we should have Emmett do it. As far as the payment of it, we have the ARPA funds. I'm hopeful that we will hear a little bit more about the infrastructure portion that was passed and how we might be able to use that. And so if we can use that, maybe we use that, but if not, then we use the ARPA funds.
And then,
Well, I think we should go after any opportunity we can find.
Right.
Yeah, that's what you're saying. And
Well,
agree.
I know that the ARPA funds are fairly open for what we can use them for at this point
Yes.
because of the lost revenue portion.
Yeah,
Whereas the infrastructure bill stuff may be specific to roads, safety, buildings, etc.
Yeah.
So if that information is available at that time, then I think we should prioritize using that. But I definitely think this needs to happen and should happen.
Absolutely.
Do we need, I don't think, we don't need a motion for that, do we?
I don't think so, as long as you're,
Okay.
as long as we get the project started and you agree to pay for it.
yeah. The gravel company will shut you off.
I always try to pay things people can either take away from me or shut off.
So we kind of jumped ahead.
Well, I went from
Yeah.
highways to fire, but I went to that in the
Right.
beginning instead of forgetting it at the end, because it is important and,
Oh, absolutely.
um,
Yeah, so I just wanted to make sure that we covered fire as well.
yeah, no, I have it right here, so,
All
yeah, last month on the 21st, I went to Canterbury to the capital area meeting, went to Barnstead for the wardens meeting, last month. We went, Jake and Greg Taylor and myself went to a GPS and a mapping class in that, the town of Canterbury put on, sponsored that, and the class was in Boston at the firehouse, and it was a good class. The last couple of months, we've worked with DES 3 times, and so I called the man down there at DES, and he's going to get together with me the 1st of May, and we're going to set up a training at our firehouse, and I probably will have a couple other surrounding towns come around just to learn how we can help them more and how they can help us more, and just get a little bit more familiar with them in different things. So that's gonna happen. May 4th, the gentleman from MSA is gonna come, and we have 2 more people that need to be tested for their masks, so the certified people for inside the buildings, and then that will be completed. The new phones have all been installed there last week at the safety building.
Awesome.
Michelle and Phil put a lot of energy into that, a lot of effort to make that all work right. Yeah. Yeah, so that's behind us. Yeah, we talked about the driveway. So, yeah, yeah, my phone. Chicken barbecue, I got tickets for the chicken barbecue, and I'll give you the date here. And okay, let's see. July 23rd from 4:30 to 6. We're doing 200 tickets. There's going to be 200 dinners. So,
What time? July 23rd from what, 2 to 6 you said?
no, dear, 4:30 to 6,
Oh.
dinner will be served.
Okay.
The tickets, we did have to go from $12 to $15 on our tickets, because the chicken we used to buy for $1.39 is now $1.89, and with the expense of everything, so, a lot of the other towns, the other night at the wardens meeting that are doing the chicken dinners, they've all gone up to 15. We talked about it at the meeting there the other night. We were gonna have quite an interesting, class at the warden's meeting over to Barnstead. They were gonna give us a class on rescuing, large animals. But, at the last minute, whoever was gonna do that something happened and they couldn't come. So we still had a meeting, but we didn't have the class that we were expecting to have, but, so we'll be doing some more with that. So, fire calls, we're at 73 calls of the year. We had 19 calls, for service last month, mostly medical calls. We did have a, oil tank rupture in the basement of the house, lost approximately 100 gallons of fuel, so DES, we got them right on the phone, and we, did everything that we could we stopped the leak. And did everything right to par to make that all happen. The lady from DES came out, and, we worked with her, getting everything cleaned up, spent quite a bit of time there, and, so, medical calls. In last month, we had 2 people lock themselves out of their home, out of their houses, and we went to, get them back in.
No cats in the tree?
No cats in the tree. We haven't had one of them for a while. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
So,
I think last month, you were getting going with the new software package for tracking everything that you had picked up. Is all of that going well now?
yeah, Jake and Ben, and they've been come back and do all that stuff up and type all that in, and it's great, and it's right up to date. After every call, it takes a couple extra minutes to add the times in, and so at the end of each quota, somebody doesn't have to sit there for 4 or 5 hours going through each piece of paper, and it's all, it's going great.
Okay.
It's going great. Fantastic.
Awesome.
I have an issue I need to bring up if I could.
Sure. One thing before I forget, can we make sure that we get something for the chicken barbecue announcement on our website?
And when we talking about the chicken barbecue, a lot of folks, and I think we talked about this last year, but it was too late. And I have to ask Russ, because I haven't yet, but if we left some tickets here at the town hall, would you selectmen have a select board? I'm sorry, I didn't do that right. Select board have a problem with, that, if we left some tickets here, so people, because some people don't do it online, come to the firehouse on a Wednesday night,
If the employees or clerk don't have a problem doing it, then I don't have a problem.
okay,
with
well,
it.
I didn't want to ask them
Do you?
without asking.
No, not at all.
Okay.
No, I mean, I think that's what, yeah, that's all part of,
We do charge a surcharge.
That's
Yeah,
fine.
we'll give them a surcharge, don't you worry.
Get half, right, I hope. Chicken bones at the end of the
That's
dinner.
right.
Whatever, you know, sometimes you gotta. I wanted to just ask this when Emmett was here. We were required to have our suppression system inspected. It had been a year, and we had it done, it's probably more than a year now, but I was here when we had it done last. And that company is no longer in
Well,
that
suppression
business.
companies are always so much fun.
So I have a new company, and they're the company that put in our hood downstairs, so it's not totally unknown to us. They went through the suppression system, and there were quite a few things that have to be done to it, to the tune of $3,500, which I don't think we have a choice, and we have to really go for it, but I want you to know that. One issue that I have, and I was gonna ask Emmett's advice, is they have to get into the attic over the library. Because they say there's a antifreeze, reservoir up there to take care of the sprinklers in the library, that's an unheated space over them. As you know, the library ceiling is, I don't know, 35 feet high. Do you have any ideas as far as what we can use for a ladder to get them in there when we go to do that?
You stand on Russell's shoulders, Michelle stands on his, and
That's what I suggested, and the employees didn't seem to think that was funny.
I'd have to take it. We'll get together, I'll
Yeah.
stop by and we'll go up
Okay.
and take a peek and see what we can do. We might have to get some staging or something together.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, I don't know how, I don't know how old this system is,
Yeah.
and how they put it in, and I didn't even think about being, something up there, but.
I would suggest asking some of the much older, or I should say, many previous years prior select board members, such as
Yeah, George Cummings
George
might,
Cummings
George might know.
and Bruce. I can't remember which person, but I know one of the previous select board members has told me stories about how they actually went up into the attic and set up the crawl boards and stuff for at some point in time for something. So they should know how to get up there.
Yeah,
I can't think of
yeah.
anything worse.
I don't know, George might,
I think it was George, but
I don't know, maybe Dee would remember something.
Okay, I'll check with him.
But I bet George, he liked getting into them projects.
Okay, I'll call him.
And so do you think we need to get another quote than that one?
Well, that's the issue, there really isn't,
No, it's
there
like,
really isn't
it's like
anywhere.
people that come fill your fire extinguishers and all that.
Kind of a single source thing.
It's,
Which, speaking of that, I'd love for you to sign my purchase order.
Put it behind you. I know fire suppression's not cheap.
I think we'll have to take that out of our trust fund, our capital reserve fund,
the maintenance one.
yeah.
Want the fun money?
I'll speak to you later about the rest of the thing, so we'll keep Emmett.
oh no, I'm good.
All right.
My cows are fed,
Since we
I've
are
ate.
going over the department head stuff, I'll just briefly read the start of the police department head report that was sent to us. As of April 19th, they have 73.95% remaining in the budget. From April 1 to April 30, there were 62 motor vehicle stops, resulting in 4 summons with fines of $527. There were 3 arrests with a total of 3 charges, and they handled 51 calls, which is the normal litany of calls and call types. The note, they do have the cruiser, but are still waiting on the back-ordered equipment for it. And there was another one that didn't make sense to me, but maybe it does to you.
Yeah, Dave had to help Mr. Adams get out of the soft shoulder of
Ah,
the road. He's like, oh no, don't get that far, I'm not that big. He does look big coming down the road though, doesn't it? Yes, so.
all right.
Yeah, because the roads are hard in the middle, but
They're still a little
don't
squishy on the
pull
side.
over.
Well, it just shows all the ditching that you do, because you can see some areas that you'll go back in and tune up, where it's holding the water. So it just shows ditching is a good thing.
It is?
Mhm. All right. Do we have anything further in the business section?
I have something further for the town building.
Okay.
Now
Sure.
might be a good. We had talked about, it's been suggested that we have some trees removed out in back of the building that probably could come down. Brenda got an estimate for it, and I have not gone to someone else to get it, but $8,700 to remove the trees, so I was going to just show this, especially to Marlo, to see what she thought about that.
How many?
Yeah, roughly how many trees?
I think it says there on the.
Oh, 8
line.
large, yeah.
And I know in the past we've had, or I've been told that there have been issues with not being allowed to do various things because of the landowner. Has all of that been worked out?
I spoke with the landowner, and he and I went out there and talked about it, and he feels there are trees, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure they're your trees. It's gonna
That's what I
cost
was-
money to take them
Oh,
down.
absolutely. I mean,
That's what I would've said too.
I know it costs money to remove trees.
And I'm not ready to move
Isn't that
on it.
weird?
I'm not ready,
Maple, ash, and pine.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
not ready to move on it, but.
And there's
And I'm
not,
not sure whether after I'm done with the suppression system, what it looks like. The other thing with this building is, I've been talking with the painter that painted this building in 2015, and he tells me, and I would agree with him, it shouldn't be peeling yet, and it is, and he feels that there are some things that really need to be looked at, and I've asked him to give me an estimate of what it is he feels need to be done. So we're getting moisture coming from somewhere.
how long ago did you paint it?
15.
And he doesn't feel it should be painted.
He doesn't
peeling
feel,
it.
well, he told me, he says, it should have lasted longer,
Hmm.
and he was the one that did it.
Yeah, because
God, it feels like I paint my house all
well, there's a difference between wearing and then like peeling up.
Yeah.
Well, no, I know what you mean. I know what you mean, but I'm just thinking of, we have some of those issues. That's why.
Yeah.
But you're right, a lot of times if it doesn't, if something's not going on.
Well, he just said he was afraid that there was something more serious going on that we should really look at, so I'm working on that.
Okay. Not that we're required because it is under the 10 grand, but I would really like to get some additional requests for quotes or whatever for the trees.
I agree, but I just kind of wanted to throw that out at you because I have no idea what it would cost.
Mm.
Mhm.
Several years ago, I thought it was terrible, I had to pay $1,000 to get rid of a big pine tree, but that was then.
Mhm. Do we have any other further business?
I don't. We have some, when
All right.
you're there.
I guess that moves us on to correspondence, the one that I thought we were going to talk about, or that I knew about, but we already mentioned, which was the resignation
Right.
letter.
Yeah.
Do we have any other correspondence?
I have some other correspondence. As soon as I find it, I'll talk to you about it.
And thank you.
Okay,
I don't
good.
know that we need you for, I don't.
No,
think
if
we
you
need for more.
don't, then I'm good.
I think I'm good.
I mean, you're perfectly welcome to stay.
Oh,
but
I
don't wanna keep
realize
you.
that. No, I'm good.
Tomorrow
That
will
was
be
my
here before we
correspondence,
know
so
it.
no, I don't have any more correspondence.
All right. Seeing as how we have no public comment, does anyone have any comments they want to make so far? All right. So that moves us on to our motions and approvals. Let's see, this was, we had a couple sets of minutes. Oh yes, VHB and their presentation.
I think you just have one meeting, the April 18th meeting.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thank
thank
you.
you, Emmett.
And yep. We did have,
You will have a couple of sets of non-public.
yeah,
at
we
the
will
next
have
meeting.
non-publics, but
I don't have
that's
those.
fine. All right. Did you have a chance to read through the?
Yes, I did. I didn't see anything. Did you?
I didn't happen to notice anything. Of course, I was trying to not say too much during that meeting. And of course, opening my mouth a lot anyway.
Well, somebody had to keep me in line. Like I said, you make it look easy.
Do you want to do the minutes now, or do you want to
Yes,
wait
no,
for
let's
D?
let's do the minutes. I don't
Okay.
think, yeah.
So I'd move that we accept the April 18th minutes as written.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, that moves us on to motions for trustees and signing. Do we have any more stuff to sign?
Yes, you do. I'll start with the motions that I'll give to you. I don't have anything for the trustees of trust funds. I do have motion for ARPA funds for medical gloves, and I have motions for,
I thought we already did that.
there are more gloves. You never can have enough gloves. And that's for impact fee withdrawals, that's for the telephone system.
Okay.
Mainly the telephone system.
I thought we were gonna have all future ARPA stuff go through us before the request came in.
Well, it's supposed to, and I've been trying to do that ever since we started. So I can send it back and say that they would need to come talk to you about it, if that's,
I mean, it's not a ton, but at the same time, stated process is supposed to be stated process. Obviously, they've already purchased them at this point. My feeling is that it makes sense to go through with this, but at the same time, tell them that if they don't come to us first next time, it probably won't.
okay, that makes sense.
Fair enough.
All right. I would move to request payment to Dash Medical Gloves in the amount of $155.99 for invoice number 1260955 for the Black Max Nitrile exam gloves for the police department to be taken from the ARPA funds.
I second.
All
I
in
was just thinking
favor?
about you. Aye.
Aye.
Sorry, I was thinking about what you said.
Mhm. Let's see here. Okay, so we did preparation and, okay.
They had to use
Oh, that was the second
Computech
half.
for
Mm-hmm.
something, and then that was the second half of the total bill.
All right. You can double check my invoice numbers and stuff here when I make them. I think they're right. So I'd move to request the treasurer to issue a check in the amount of $125 for invoice dated April 29th, 2022, payable to Computech Integrators for labor to prepare for the new phone system at the police station. These funds to be withdrawn from the accumulated impact fees for the public safety building.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I would move to request the treasurer issue a check in the amount of $2,662.50 to MCCT for invoice 91017 for the completion of installation of the new telephone system at the police department. These funds to be withdrawn from accumulated impact fees for the public safety building.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And that was the second half of that payment for anybody keeping
Right.
track.
As I almost corrected you. I said, he can't be wrong, and I kept looking.
I have Karen King is preparing to send out the first half tax bills.
Mm.
Oh, does she have to?
They won't be going out until after May 15th. But this is the warrant for them, for her to collect $2,691,614.
That's it?
Yeah,
Just
just a little bit.
that's only a half a year. You would think with such a small town, that's still a lot of money, isn't it?
I know, it is a lot of money.
As you're well aware, roads
Oh.
take lots of money.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
I have the regular payroll manifest. This was the first of the month, so the fire officers included in that 23
$561.78.
And that's also,
The stipends for the clerk, the tax collector and the treasurer
and
and the
the,
select board
and the library as well,
and the
right?
library.
That's a once a month?
Yes.
Okay. I thought so, but wanted to remind myself. Okay.
Then I have the accounts payable manifest for $43,912.90. It was brought to my attention about the credit cards. There was a $39 charge on my card because I went over the limit because of the refrigerator that was purchased, and at the same time, there was some charges that for the software of the Microsoft. I called the credit card company and they were
gonna say.
gracious enough to waive it, which I thought was, I haven't always had success with
Right,
that,
I was
but-
gonna say,
But
yeah.
I must have gotten someone in a good mood. So that worked. We had talked about changing the card, and I have checked around. There aren't a lot of opportunities. I looked at Chase, but because we're a municipality, it works a little different, I think, than what your company card works with. They wanted guarantees from the select board members personally.
Oh.
And I said, I didn't think that would, to myself, I
Mhm.
don't think.
Especially now when you have one that doesn't.
And the Citizens Bank does offer one, however, they want our accounts as well, which is
Where is our money now?
Franklin Savings Bank, and they do not do anything with credit cards. So our credit cards are technically through Meredith Village Savings Bank. Don't ask me why, because they're serviced by this First Bank of Omaha. Local banks really don't handle that anymore. It's, they farm it out.
Mhm.
But we have been better as far as getting the bills in. What we're still up against is the postal service sometimes.
Well, really, no, and why can't we pay online here?
The problem with paying online is just the way that it charges and you haven't approved it yet.
So I thought
And this,
what we were actually going to be doing was that rather than waiting for the post office to get them to us, that all of the bills would electronically be sent to, to you.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh, so we do get
we do
that.
get them, but they will also get them in a mail form.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in theory, we should have plenty of time to,
So
Get stuff
I'm
through
hoping,
then.
yeah. We do have some things that are charged to the bank account, which is just the way business is now, but it's always
but the pay your credit card online, they shouldn't be charged for that.
not a charge, but I'm talking about the logistics of having it signed off on and the treasurer accepting
Gotcha,
that.
yeah,
and,
yeah, yeah.
All
It
that.
seems like a lot more
You
difficult.
know,
instead of just writing a check, yeah.
Well, the only thing you could do is once everything's signed off, you go online and pay it.
well, that's true. You
'Cause,
know,
I mean, that's-
assuming you have enough time to
Right,
To do
do
right.
that.
Well, it's instant.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, because, I mean, in theory, we get, like, because they give you not quite a month, but almost a month. So the electronic bill, we should have, let's say worst case, and it came in right after our second one, still within 2 weeks, we're gonna have a meeting. And then it could be electronically paid
That's what,
within a
yeah,
week afterwards. and
That's right.
It would never be late.
that's right, because the mailing is crazy right now,
Oh, it is.
Mhm.
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So, what do we need to do to go, I mean, because we could get it approved and then instead of the person writing the check, they
Mhm.
do it online.
I'm just thinking about the manifest and how I would do that.
You would still have it on here, she just wouldn't print the check. Oh, then it wouldn't equal
it
probably.
would- it
That's
would-
what you're worried about, yeah.
Let me think about it, and yeah, I'm sure.
Well, even in our office, we don't,
I'm sure.
when she does it online, she she doesn't write a check, but she uses a check number. AAB.
This might be over my pay grade, but I'll see what I can do
Well,
to
right,
figure it
instead
out.
of,
Yeah, 'cause sometimes a transfer, sometimes if you're doing it as a bill pay, online bill pay, it's a virtual check that they write and
well,
send,
or
basically.
we, well,
We
no,
could
or
do
we,
that.
well, hold on, we actually have a book. And so, you know, the same idea, anybody doing a bank statement or comparing something to a register, which is your manifest in a sense, right, is a register.
Yes.
So we don't use a paper check number, we have your book, you write it in, and that's you start your numbering from there. 111
Mhm.
A, 1112, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So that's how you would, I don't see why, if that would, then you could put it in your manifest as that check number from a book.
Or even if it was a separate manifest, because we've run different manifests for like a different date
Okay.
of sending checks or something. But something like that must be possible.
Well, when we do an adjustment, for example, the payroll is all electronic. When we do an adjustment, I sign off on those, so they have something
Yeah.
the auditors want them to have
Mhm.
looked at. And so I could make a form that you would sign off on the.
Yeah. And boy, it's so simple.
It's it's simple, but I'm trying to.
No,
you know,
not from
yeah.
your end.
Yeah.
No, I meant going on and paying it. No,
Yeah.
I get sometimes the.
Well, in
making
theory.
Right, making sure everything is in the circle so you don't miss a
Well,
beat.
and I'm paying the telephone bills with the credit card now because of just the delay, and so when I get the phone bill, I can go on. But again, I'm paying it before you've seen it.
But if you could, there could be certain ones you sign up to pay online and you run a manifest for those ones.
And they get included with, what happens with, why we don't do that is because it gets included with the credit card bill, what you just signed off on, that
Mhm.
bill would be in there,
Right.
I have to think, but I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I'm a
Yeah.
little.
No, and I don't know that,
Yeah.
and I don't totally understand all your in and outs of working, so.
Neither
could
do I,
be.
so you can see that.
No, I get it, I just, yeah.
Okay, that's all I had. Thank you.
Alright. So that covers the agenda stuff. I thought we had, I thought you were gonna come back with information from town property stuff this time?
Because I was out last week for 3 days, I haven't had a lot of time in the form that I was doing, but we do have 173 Cornhill Road is now going to be ready to be signed.
Mhm.
Phil just got in, and when I say Phil, young Phil just got in and broke into the,
Did he do it today?
I'm not sure if it was today, I think it was.
My husband said, somebody went in that house.
I wanted to, you reminded me that I should show you some pictures of what we're dealing with that house.
And the other thing I was thinking is if we start doing some of these lot line
And the other thing is that we were gonna talk
do it all
about,
once.
okay,
Mhm.
are you going to subdivide, are you
Mm.
going to put in the,
So,
this is
I
the
guess.
interior
oh, here we
pictures
go.
of 874 Battle Street, the first picture is very terrible.
The white one. Oh, lovely.
Left a few things behind.
Oh, just a couple.
Who took this one?
Yeah.
Wait a minute, wait a minute, where am I? Oh,
Hallway.
now I am. Oh, to the bathroom.
Yeah, that's the
Oh,
bathroom.
Oh. Oh dear.
Careful when you go in there, you might fall.
Alright, well, they're all the same thing.
Yeah.
Everything is everywhere and covered in multiple layers of random trash.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, I think there's basically 3 paths forward for the property.
Hmm.
Obviously, we're thinking that we want to do something with the small garage that's separate, and that's kind of a separate piece of property anyway. So, the 3 kind of options for the larger plot on the other side of the street I see is we can just, put the whole thing up. The, and the second option would be to do the subdivision. And then with the subdivision portion is where it gets interesting, because it has the subdivision has the possibility of, at least in my view, from reading through the various things in the RSAs, has the possibility of actually netting the town a lot more revenue.
To what? To what?
To getting us a lot more revenue.
To
do the subdivision.
okay.
But that's upfront revenue, and I'll explain that briefly. If the subdivision happens, and then we sell the house and its portion with, for the amount that it takes to get everything to happen, which we're allowed to do, and whatever it'll probably be bid well over that, but we don't get to keep it.
Right.
That now is done and satisfies that. We now have another piece of property that is not covered by that. That if we put up to bid, we get to keep all of it.
Huh?
And so that is the kind of immediate benefit to the subdivision possibility. And if someone buys it, builds on it, then there's impact fees and that sort of thing, and more taxes. The downside, of course, is could have kids in both of them, and then school taxes and so on, and then the taxes actually go up, and so the revenue doesn't work out being better for us, but he can't really, he can't say no, just never build anything because there might be a kid.
No.
So I think really it boils down to, do we just want to have it done and then have it back on the tax maps? Or do we want to do the part of it and then sell the other and realize that that would probably create another house on the state highway, if they could get a driveway permit, which is a big if. But that's, as far as my views, those are the ways that it can happen. What do you kind of think of them?
Well, the other thing you could do is if you sold it as one,
Mhm.
have an easement on the property.
Well, either way, we can put easements on the
Okay.
properties. So I'm just talking about the ways that it gets sold, not regarding whether there's conservation on the waterfront.
God, you'd like the town's input. I hate being the only.
I mean, we could certainly hold a public hearing for it.
At least we could ask the question.
I don't know how many people would come to that
Well,
public hearing.
but at least we, it would be, Marlo and Dave and Dee
Right.
didn't just sit up there and make a decision on what they wanted. Here's your kind of two options.
Mhm.
Come and give us your opinion. I mean, that's not gonna hurt anything, is it?
I don't think so.
Time-wise, meaning,
No.
right? That would make me feel better. I feel like it should be,
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense.
and you're right, what do we do? You post it online, and if,
Well, I think that in this case, I mean, I've had a lot of interest in that house. I would send notices to all the people that have given interest. I might even go as far as put an ad in the Concord Monitor.
Oh, you mean as far as when we make it available?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I think I'm thinking more about the public
meeting.
hearing. Like, that would normally just be the town's website and our normal postings, right? Well, in the grapevine.
I was just trying to reach out to as many as I
oh,
know.
but here, let's make sure we're on the same question. He's saying public meeting wise,
Yeah,
would you put an ad in the Concord Monitor for the public hearing side?
I wouldn't normally,
But you might on this
but,
one.
But I just think
It is amazing what towns do put in there for public hearings. I read
I
that.
realize it costs money.
What's it, a couple
but-
$100?
Yeah, it is. But if you have
A lot
a
of
public
times you
hearing and
do-
you have no
you-
public, it's not much. you know.
I just don't think that the Concord Monitor is the right place for it, because that's way more than, like, that's a,
Well, there's the grapevine, of
I think the
course.
grapevine makes sense.
Well, because
'cause that's
everybody gets
town.
it, yeah.
Okay.
I think
I'm not
why
married to
he's,
the Concord Monitor.
I think the only reason he's saying that is like Bow, Hopkinton, Pembroke, Loudon, they put public stuff in there
Yeah,
a
but,
lot.
but I think maybe I'm changing my mind a little
Okay,
bit with the
but I'm
Concord
fine with the
Monitor.
yeah.
Grapevine's a much better idea,
'Cause
because it's
it-
local.
It would be one thing if, like, we were saying, hey, we wanted to do this giant, like, public works thing, and everyone's gonna forever see, you know, a silo as they drive by on the highway or
Yeah,
something.
gotcha.
I mean, I'd like to see as many people come
That's what
as
I just want,
possible,
yes.
yeah.
But you do have a paper and you have, because I always worry about.
But I also don't wanna hear like 1,000,001 inputs from Salisbury residents about what we
Right.
do with our own town property.
Right.
Yeah.
Um, Nothing against the Salisbury residents, you know. they're
No,
great,
but I guess when I think public meeting, I think townspeople, not
Right.
outside
Well,
people.
and that's what you're striving for.
Right.
And, you know, if people who are thinking they would wanna bid on the property wanna, you know, show up, fine. I would assume they would all say, no, we don't want that subdivided,
I'm assuming too, yeah,
But-
but
you know. So,
it just gives the town an opportunity to be part
Yeah.
of a decision
Mm.
that I feel like that somebody couldn't say, well, what the heck did you do that for? Well, there's a public meeting, you can't, you know, we put with what people wanted to do.
I think that makes sense. What is our required time for, is it 30 days or is it like 2 weeks?
We
or-
don't, I mean, I think 2 weeks is sufficient. We're not under the same, public hearing like that isn't quite the same as like the planning
Well,
board or
but
something
would
like
it,
that,
what would that?
But I think
have
that
been?
if you wanted it in the grapevine, that would be probably the end of this month is when the next one would come out. So I think you're looking probably mid-June. Now, we also have, I mean, while we're holding that thought, we have all this stuff in that house that I don't know if you're selling all those things or if anything has any value that should be auctioned off or anything.
I think I think you should sell it. Well, you know what we need to do is go in there and kind of look around.
Yeah,
I mean, the thing with it's, I could see a few antique pieces
Well,
in there,
that's,
but unless there's like a,
wouldn't we have to take that out of the amount though, so we're still not gonna get anything more?
yes,
So
I
it
would
doesn't-
leave it, is what you're
Yeah.
saying. Yeah, let somebody else
deal with it.
deal with it, because
'Cause,
it's not, and
you
a lot
know,
of times antiques.
It would be great if we could sell it at auction and keep the money, but we can't.
Yeah, but by the time you get it out of there, I don't think you'd make much, even if you
No.
could keep it.
No.
Unless
True.
there was a hot take on antiques, and there was some good ones in there, but and I'm sure there is if you appreciate, or not appreciate, if you find value, I should say, in antiques, and some people do and some
Mhm.
people don't. And unfortunately, right now, it's a little bit more
Yeah,
sided. That's
Okay,
what I've
just,
noticed.
Just wanted some guidance.
I would personally be in favor of cleaning it up some before putting it up for auction,
Mhm.
or sorry, for bid, knowing that, you know,
Yeah, you
we'll,
don't- you
we'll
don't-
get that money back, but then
That's right.
they don't get something that's just a trash heap that they can't do anything with.
That's right. No, I agree with you
So-
100%. Which you might be able to find somebody to give you a price on that they can keep the contents of the place. And
Well, that would
keep
just be
them.
part of
Yeah.
the bid spec.
Yeah,
As long as you got the trash thrown away and people
Mhm.
can walk through the bit. I'm going to be in it this, now that I can get in it, I'm gonna go up probably tomorrow. And go in there,
got your mask.
bring my mask, yeah.
Thick boots for whatever you find in the trash.
Yeah, I don't wanna go through the trash. The Mercedes, should we do anything with those?
Oh,
Can you find out if there's
Value
somebody
in
that
them?
collects them? I think that's what you'd want to find out.
yeah, we'd have no idea if they run.
They don't look too healthy to me.
But
I'm not
the
even
best I could think of would be someone would want them for parts.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I had one gentleman
collector.
ask me about them.
Okay.
I don't know if they need to go to bid, I don't know what if they have value, there's another one in the garage, by the way.
Mhm. Yeah,
I'd
I've
have
been
to do a
told
little
that.
research to know that too, but I would think maybe if you,
I'm
Put
sure
it-
they have value, but I mean,
well, no, but to the right person,
right,
the right people
Mhm.
is, you know, Mercedes, you know, there's the collectors out there. I know, like my son does pickups and old, you know,
Sure.
1970 Chevys or whatever. And there's value to the parts,
Mhm.
a lot of times more than you would think, because,
I mean, I
You're
might be
looking for that
interested in
part.
bidding if I go look in the garage and there's a brand new Mercedes in there.
see
But-
Dana drive out.
Well, so you also have to think though that the garage property is different than the house and land property. We're talking about the house and land property,
Well, there's a
which
Mercedes
has
on that
one
side.
Mercedes.
Yeah, yeah.
It's got one Mercedes.
Would you like me to
on
move
it,
the other two on the other side?
but, so, I think again, it boils down to, we could probably extract value out of those,
Mhm.
but we can't keep it anyway.
All right.
So,
Well, it depends on how people look at it. Some people could look at it as a hazard. I mean, it may be worth, it may up the value if we can get them.
I look at it as it has.
That's right,
Yeah.
if you could get somebody to come either take
Well,
them or even
and,
give you a small dollar to help clean up the house or something.
well, I was gonna say, there's at least a few different companies that, as long as it's accessible, which those all are.
Yeah,
You just call them and they'll come pick up the car and take it and at worst give you like $20 because they'll turn it into scrap metal.
yeah,
And those are old enough that they're actually metal, so.
yeah.
But, so I don't think that would really be a
Actually, this,
detractor for anyone that would bid.
right, right. Well,
Because no one's gonna bid on that thinking they're gonna move in.
right. No, I suppose. So let them just get
Yeah.
the,
So you're saying not worry about the Mercedes?
Yeah, if we could keep the money,
Okay.
that'd be one thing, but
Okay.
otherwise, I don't think so. So yeah, where would we take the funds for cleaning up the property? I mean, I know we would get it back, but where would we take that from at this point?
Well, we'd have to figure that out, I'd have
eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
to, yeah.
So, I would definitely suggest that we do that, at least a basic level. It doesn't have to be like cleaned, but let's at least be able to walk through it. So that when people wanna look at it, they can, without it being,
And the
please sign
liability."
this liability waiver.
Right.
Yeah, well, that's, I mean, you don't want it so it's unsafe for someone to look at,
Mhm.
you know.
So, yeah,
Phil told me not to go into the barn, he said that's not safe there, so,
and we can just say that
yeah.
as part of the bid. All right. I guess that does it. Anything else?
Nope.
Do we have any non-public or anything that's needed?
No.
Perfect. I would move that we adjourn at 8:32.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Have a nice night, everybody.